What if I told you that you could find the verified work email of any prospect in under 10 seconds using a free Python script that you can run straight from your browser? You don't need any 100.io subscription, no Apollo credits to be utilized, no Zoom info contract, no other tool needed. Just Python and it works right away. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to build it, even if you have never say written a single line of code in your life. So let's quickly get into it. Now let's first understand the logic behind all of this. So if you're say in the sales or the GDM space, you know the pain that we go through while say for example finding the perfect prospect on LinkedIn, where we know their name, their company name, but we don't have their email ID. Now, when you look at any work or professional email ID, there is a very predictable pattern to it, wherein it is either the sort of email like first name dot last name at company.com. Okay, and there are really only about 20 to 24 realistic combinations around this. So what we have done over here is that we have created a complete list of all the possible variation or the pattern of email IDs that can be created for a work email ID. Now imagine say for example you have a Python code that can create all of these variants for you. That's your job one. Next is, out of these email IDs, you would also want to know which is the correct email ID. So that's when the verification of it comes into picture. So I'll just take a minute to explain how the code schematic looks like. At first, what do we have is we know the name of the person, so we have their first name, last name, and we know the company's website or the company's domain. So we are using the first section of this code to generate the different email variants. Then what we are doing is that we are verifying them. So we are doing the DNS MX lookup. Then we are sending a SMTP request to ask the mail server whether it is a valid or invalid email. And finally, we are getting a outcome as valid, invalid, or catch all. Now, once say you get all of these as an output, okay, what happens is if I talk about the complete main runner. So over here, it starts with generating the variants, verifies, and then stops on the first valid email that gets found. Now there are two ways to go over. One is a quick start where you just do a single lookup, or second is a bulk option that you get. Now say this is a very simple basic structure of the email that we have been able to make. How do we actually execute this in Python is the next question. Now, when I mentioned that you don't have to write a single line of code, that is because in the time that we are in right now, you can generate that entire code by simply giving a prompt in any of the LLM models, be it ChatGPT, be it Claude, be it Perplexity. You just have to ensure that you are creating the right prompt to actually get the output that you're looking for. So what we did is we have built this complete code, as you can see right here, using Claude. And what we are using for executing this is Google Colab, which works completely and directly on your browser. So you don't need to install any of the Python tools or SDEs or basically running this particular code. You can run it right here. Now the very first thing or first aspect of whenever you start using Python is in terms of installing the dependencies of the libraries. So as you can see over here in the code also, the first thing that it has told us to do is say part 1, install dependencies. See, this is the dependency, or this is the library that we need to install. So when we enter this, what this particular code does is it starts downloading that particular library that can help in terms of executing different functions of that code. And once that is done, I have my entire code right here. So if you can see what it's doing, it is importing certain functions from that particular library that can help us run this code. Where we have our section 1, where it is creating those different variants. So as you can see over here, we are having the input as the first name, last name, and the domain. And what we are doing is that we have defined the different raw patterns, where if say for example f is equal to cleaning of the first name, so that's the first name, right? Fi will be first name initial, okay, d is domain, and then it has defined using these set variables f, l, fi, li, the different combinations, and we have even mentioned how the example looks like. Finally, what we are doing is that we are building the complete addresses using this and then running a verification test. There are two things that we are doing at this point. One is we are getting the MX records that whether that domain is valid or not. Second is we are doing SMTP verification. Now what is SMTP verification? It is basically this code sends a request to the mail server asking whether this particular email ID that is there is valid, invalid, or catch all. Now, what are the definition? When we talk about valid, then it is completely likely that okay, this mail, whenever we are using it, it's going to get delivered to that person. Invalid means that okay, this is an incorrect email. Catch all is where the system isn't able to distinguish whether this is a correct or incorrect email ID. In that case, also what it does is it tells us that which is the most likely or which is the one that can be the correct email address. Okay. So remaining things is all about the verification part, and finally in terms of the main runner, that is wherein we get our output. So if you see, this is how the entire code has been created. And when I talk about first part, okay, if I want to say execute this, okay, what I'm going to do is that this section that you see, okay, which is a search for a single prospect. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add my name. I've added already my first name, last name. I'll add my company domain. Okay, now I've added this, and if I want to say execute this code to see that or find which is the correct email ID, what I'll have to do is just click on this play button right here, and it starts running. So if you see what it's going to do right now when it starts running, the first thing is it will install all the libraries that are there, and then it will create the different possible variants of this. Finally, what it is doing is telling me that okay, this is, say all the emails are catch all, but this is the most likely one. So this is how it works, and this is how I'm able to get, say, my email ID or my work email ID. But now, say for example, for certain domains where it is catch all, you cannot do anything. You just have to try out which is the correct email. But then there are certain, domains where it is not catch all. It is the exact domain or exact email that you will be able to find. So for example, say over here, instead of my current company website, I'll just add one of my client's website, okay, where I have my email ID created. And now when I actually run this, what is going to happen is it starts by first seeing that okay, what are the different variants. As you can see right here, the address was rejected, but the third variant that is there, it's a valid variant. So that's wherein it is directly giving me a verified email ID as an output. So this is how it works. This is how within seconds, what you can do is that you can build this complete code that can help you in terms of creating or finding the work email IDs of your prospect. This was about it. This was about how even if you don't know, Python, or you don't know how to code, you can take the help of LLMs to build that code for you based on your own use case. So if you found this useful, please do drop a like and subscribe to our channel. And if you have any questions, put it up in the comments below. If you have any other use case on Python that you would want me to build, say specifically for Python or for GTM, then put it up in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching this one. See you in the next one.